Tonight,
having care and support available beyond detox is critically important.
new details on the province's plan to detain people for longer periods when high on drugs. What else advocates say needs to be done. Also tonight, bringing in the bike lanes.
It does a couple of things that are really positive.
How the city plans to manage cyclist safety on Wellington Crescent. Plus, how soon you could see electric vehicle chargers across northern Manitoba and where they'll be located.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Mixed reaction tonight to a provincial bill passed late yesterday regarding the amount of time highly intoxicated people can be detained. Bill 48 allows authorities to hold people for up to 72 hours, an increase from the current 24 hours. But some advocates argue the city should be more focused on addressing the roots of addiction. To explain, CTV's Joseph Bernacki joins us now live. Joseph, is this new detention time raising the concerns?
Marilee, it's not the detention time length raising concerns. It's what happens after the people go through a facility like this and come out on the other side. I spoke with someone who previously struggled with addiction today. He says the design plans will not help enough people.
My biggest fear is that after 72 hours, people are going to be released and go back and hurt themselves even more.
Joseph Foray spent 40 years battling a heroin and crystal meth addiction, finally ending up homeless. He knows the way drug usage can consume a person's life.
I wish, during the height of my addiction, somebody would have stepped in and said, you know what, you need some help and we're going to give it to you.
The province has passed Bill 48, which allows people on drugs like meth to be detained 72 hours, up from the previous 24. Foray says the planned detox center at 190 Disraeli is a great entry point to treat addiction, but doesn't go far enough into the root causes.
A mental psychosis can last up to 5 to 10 days. So what's going to be in that facility?
Foray says the bill passing feels like a harm reduction strategy with a lack of a recovery plan. However, Premier Canoe says the new facility with 20 beds to start will bring a more humane, dignified approach to treating addiction.
It's going to be somewhere where somebody who's causing problems on drugs can be taken so that they're not in the emergency room waiting room. They're not at the bus stop. They're not bugging you while you're trying to go to the grocery store.
Greg Kylo, executive director at Bruce Oak Recovery Center, says the new facility is a much-needed addition in a province lacking detox infrastructure.
Meth-induced psychosis is a reality in our city, and this is definitely going to help when that presents itself beyond 24 hours and care can be made available.
Kylo says having care beyond detox is critical for helping people overcome their addiction. If not, he warns health outcomes can be severe. He says success depends on the individual's self-determination following detox.
We're a 16-week program, so someone could go from a facility like this to come to Bruce Oak and be here for 4 months to help make the changes and rebuild their lives.
Space at drug rehab facilities like Bruce Oak is at a premium. Kylo says their 50 beds are currently at full capacity.
Joseph, did the province say anything then about plans to expand the new detox facility on Disraeli?
Marilee, Premier Canoe says the facility expects to add an additional 20 spaces in early 2026.
All right, thanks for this, Joseph. The city's Public Works Committee has given the thumbs up to a new 5-year parking and mobility strategy. The strategy would provide a framework for the city to manage curbside space, parking, and mobility services. Broadly, it aims to increase turnover in high-demand areas, possibly through rate changes in the future or adding paid parking outside of existing times. It also means paid parking could be coming to new areas of the city. The goal is to have at least 2 open spaces per block at any given time. It also aims to improve the parking experience, possibly through the creation of an app that would show available parking spots in real time. The strategy still needs to be approved by full council. The city has released a temporary plan to improve safety on Wellington Crescent, where a cyclist was killed last year. A ghost bike marks the spot where Rob Jenner was hit by a driver going 159 kilometers an hour. Now the city wants feedback on an interim solution, which includes bike paths on both sides of the road. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now with more details on this. Jeff, what can cyclists and drivers expect to see?
Painted bike lanes with plastic bollards, fewer lanes of vehicle traffic, and a lower speed limit. Andrew Ross lives on Wellington Crescent. He says right now it's good for drivers, but not so much for cyclists.
It's scary. I'm a cyclist myself, and you're kind of fighting with a lane, like with cars for a lane. You never know what's behind you. You never know when they're going to turn.
Now the city has released an interim plan that would add temporary bike lanes on Wellington Crescent between Academy Road and Stradbrook. Painted lines would run on both sides with plastic bollards, and the speed would be reduced from 50 to 40.
I am going to be supporting what is going to improve the transportation needs for the vulnerable road user. People in cars, they can slow down.
The measures come after lobbying from bike advocates to improve safety here, following the death of cyclist Rob Jenner in 2024. Bike Winnipeg says this is a good first step to protect cyclists and pedestrians.
I think it's something that's going to make a difference.
But they'd like to see the speed reduced to 30, and instead of the painted lines and bollards, permanent curbs, physically separating cars and bikes.
It's not perfect for us, certainly, but it's better than what we have now.
It's much safer for cyclists if there were some more kind of firm type of separation from traffic.
And beyond speed, drivers might have to make other adjustments. The project would also see evening and weekend parking removed in some areas, plus traffic would be reduced from 4 lanes to 2 between Dorchester and Stradbrook.
Well, I actually live on the street. I face the street. I kind of look out the window a lot every day, and I think all they need is 1 lane each way.
People have until December 12th to provide their opinions to the city. Construction is expected to begin in the spring.
So, Jeff, why not put in permanent curbs for the bike lanes now?
That is the long-term plan. If this temporary project goes well, the city would explore putting permanent ones in when Wellington is scheduled for repairs. It's unclear when that could happen.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. The Manitoba government is creating a tax credit to promote more rental housing construction.
We can't let what happened in Vancouver to housing prices and to rents happen here in Manitoba. And so in order for us to stay ahead, we have to keep building more rental units.
In Sage Creek today, Premier Rob Canoe and Housing Minister Bernadette Smith announced a $176.5 million rental housing construction incentive. It's available to private and nonprofit housing developers. The tax credit totals $8,500 per new rental unit, with an additional $5,000 available for affordable units. It's hoped the incentive will result in more affordable rental units for families and seniors.
This program enables us to continue looking after Manitoba's seniors by providing them with access to top-tier multifamily housing, spaces designed with their dignity, comfort, and well-being in mind while keeping rents low.
Affordable units must meet rent thresholds set out by the Manitoba Housing and Renewal Corporation. Projects must continue to qualify as rental housing for 10 years. New details tonight in the city's plan to turn more heritage buildings into residential housing. Centre Venture says its residential conversion grant pilot program will offer property owners up to $25,000 per new residential unit. Now, to qualify, the projects must be downtown, listed as a heritage building, and create at least 5 new units. They must also have a minimum overall investment of $500,000 and maintain heritage conservation standards. Applications are being accepted between now and January 7th. You can find out more by visiting centreventure.com. We now know where Manitoba Hydro intends to set up its first electric vehicle charging stations. The Crown utility says the first half-dozen chargers will be going up along Highway 6 between Winnipeg and Thompson. They'll be located in the areas of Lundar, St. Martin, Grand Rapids, Ponton, Waboden, and Thompson. Hydro says in nearly all cases, it's partnering with a local First Nation, which will host the charging stations. It adds 5 of the 6 will be level 3 chargers capable of fully charging 4 vehicles within 20 or 30 minutes. The stations are expected to be up and running by spring of 2027. All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at our snowy Skywatch forecast. I know you've been tracking the snow throughout the day. What is the latest on its status?
Oh, well, it is snowing now in Winnipeg, but I want to hold that off for just a few more seconds. I know you won't mind that, Marilee, because there's been a lot going on in the skies, including the northern lights. And if you look closely in just a moment, there's going to be something fly through the sky there that looks like it could be a meteor. There it is. Do you see it? Very small. So not only have we had the beautiful aurora borealis, and we'll continue to, we had the supermoon, and now we have the rain that's turned to snow here in Winnipeg. But we're not alone. Much of southern Manitoba still caught up in this low pressure system. Northwestern Ontario, there's both rain and snow, and it looks like a little bit of freezing rain there as well. I'll show you how long this will last, how much more is yet to come for different parts of the province, and then what comes next. Let's take a look right now, though, first through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Wow, Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. That is snow, folks. Wow. Yeah, just take that in for a moment. Zero out there, winds out of the east-northeast at 10 kilometers an hour. The pressure is dropping, and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 98%.
I liked looking at those northern lights better than that.
I told you.
All right, RCMP have laid charges after finding hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cocaine hidden inside a television. Mounties made the discovery Monday at Thompson Airport. Inside a TV, officers found several tightly wrapped packages containing nearly half a kilogram of cocaine with an estimated street value of more than $222,000. The suspicious package was destined for Bunnabonaby cremation, a fly-in community. Police arrested a 55-year-old woman from the community who is now charged with drug trafficking. The charge has not yet been tested in court. A bill to ban election disinformation, including so-called deep fake videos, is among several pieces of legislation expected to pass today before the Manitoba legislature session ends. The bill would fine people up to $20,000 a day if false information is not removed. It also imposes penalties for intentionally providing misleading information about voter eligibility, the conduct of election officials, and the individuals or companies which provide ballots and vote counting machines. Government House Leader Nahani Fontaine says the bill addresses issues that have come up in the United States.
You know, Manitobans and Canadians, I would submit, take great pride in our democracy, and we take great pride in the ability to participate in our elections in a fair and good and equitable way. And that piece of legislation just further strengthens that.
The changes are based on recommendations from the province's chief electoral officer and were introduced in the legislature in March. Also scheduled for a final vote is a bill which would implement tax changes announced in the spring budget. The legislature is expected to reconvene for a new session later this month with a throne speech to outline the NDP government's agenda for the coming year. The housing market in the Winnipeg region remained hot in October. According to its monthly report, the Winnipeg Regional Real Estate Board says the average price for a residential detached home reached a little more than $442,000 last month. That's up 4% from a year earlier and represents a new high watermark for average price, which the agency says has gone up every month this year. Meanwhile, the average price for condominiums also rose 12% from last year to about $297,000. An exhibit exploring the people of Transcona and their connection to war opened today. Stories of remembrance from hometown to the front lines opened in Centre Court of Kildonan Place. It displays 18 first-hand experiences from Transcona residents during the First and Second World War. The exhibit, organized by the Transcona Museum, also features the names and photographs of the men and women who served.
It truly shows us how much World War I, World War II, Korea affected everybody. Everyone has a connection, has a story to it, whether it is a direct relative who enlisted or something done on the home front, but everyone has a story that they can add.
The Transcona Museum Kildonan Place display started in the early 2000s. The exhibit launched with an opening ceremony alongside Transcona Legion, a choir, and dignitaries. It's on display until Remembrance Day. Well, you may have already spotted them around downtown. The new garbage bins the city announced it would be installing in August are now being put in place. More than 100 black metal bins just like these are going up on Main Street and Portage Avenue. They're designed to better contain litter and prevent garbage from spilling onto the street. The bins lock so you can toss trash in, but you can't take anything out. All of the bins are expected to be installed by November 14th. If they prove effective, the city says it will install more. Still to come tonight, prepare for some travel turbulence.
They will be affected by it, and the question is going to be, what does that mean?
Hundreds of flights across the U.S. have already been canceled due to the government shutdown. We're going to take a look at how it's affecting Canadians when we return.
We will never forget your bravery, your strength, your sacrifice.
The very best and bravest of our nation, these heroic souls stood on guard for freedom.
Join the CTV News team and me as Canada comes together to remember.
Remembrance Day 2025, Tuesday morning at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on CTV.
Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil lost 17 cents. The Canadian dollar ended the day mostly flat. Gold lost nearly $2. The TSX fell 234 points. The Dow Jones dropped 398 points, while the Nasdaq plunged 445 points. New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago are among 40 American cities slashing airline capacity. The slowdown in flight traffic begins tomorrow and could also affect Canadian travelers. It's the result of the government shutdown, which is now the longest in U.S. history. CTV's Heather Wright on the ripple effect expected through Canadian systems.
It's a standard Thursday at Canada's largest airport, but travelers are bracing for turbulence.
It's really unfortunate.
Transportation officials in the United States plan to slash air traffic by 10% at 40 major airports, including New York, Washington, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Reductions set to begin Friday. The Federal Aviation Administration and U.S. Transportation Department say traffic reduction is necessary to ease pressure on air traffic controllers and security screening agents who have been working without pay during the 36-day U.S. government shutdown.
If I was working, I sure as hell wouldn't want to be working without any pay.
This has worsened staff shortages, caused widespread flight delays and long security lines at American airports. And since many Canadian travelers are bound for U.S. destinations, both passengers and carriers here are expected to feel the pinch.
They're not exempt from this reduction. They will be affected by it. And the question is going to be, what does that mean?
WestJet says so far their operations have not been impacted. We are continuing to monitor the situation and proactively manage our operations to minimize any potential disruptions going forward. While Air Canada says we are monitoring the situation and awaiting more details. Adding, for customers who may be connecting onto U.S. domestic flights operated by our partner United Airlines, we have put in place a goodwill policy to allow them to change or defer their travel with no change fee.
Experts warn even domestic flights could be impacted. For example, a flight from Toronto to Vancouver spends about half of its flight in U.S. airspace. Now, carriers could opt to fly through Canadian skies to avoid any disruptions, but that would add another hour to the length of that flight. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
The deadline to avoid a strike by WestJet flight attendants is approaching. The current contract will expire December 31st. The Flight Attendants Union has released a video to highlight its concerns about working conditions. The flight attendants are paid only for the time the plane is in the air. It's the same issue that led to a strike by Air Canada flight attendants in August. A vote of confidence was held in the House of Commons just a short time ago on this week's federal budget, but the result was a foregone conclusion. The vote on a Conservative sub-amendment to the budget has been defeated. The Tories wanted some changes made, but the minority Liberal government will not fall tonight after the NDP said this afternoon it would vote against the motion. The New Democrats say the Conservatives want massive cuts to public spending and call the sub-amendment irresponsible. A Bloc Québécois amendment, which also calls for the House to reject the budget, will be voted on tomorrow. The NDP says it's still studying that one. Meanwhile, Alberta Conservative MP Matt Généreux is quitting the party's caucus. He hasn't yet given a reason. Just 2 days ago, fellow Conservative Chris D'Entremont crossed the floor to join the Liberals. The Supreme Court has dismissed an appeal by a BC ostrich farm to stop a cull order to euthanize its flock. The decision ends a months-long legal road for the farm, which has since sparked a debate over accusations of government overreach. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
You want to know what pain looks like, Canada?
The end of a saga that began last December when dozens of birds died on the Universal Ostrich Farm.
She's going to lose everything she's ever loved for 35 years.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency found traces of H5N1 in 2 dead birds and ordered the flock to be culled to contain the virus. The farm fought the order to the Supreme Court, which dismissed the case.
We obviously are pleased to see the decision of the Supreme Court. This is a decision that is following the science and evidence.
More than 300 birds will now be euthanized. Virologists say testing the birds is not an option.
There's really no practical way to actually test these birds. We don't know where the birds might be shedding virus if they are indeed still infected. These are 7 to 9 foot tall birds that are very strong, very fast, very dangerous to people.
Under the Health of Animals Act, the CFIA can now move ahead with depopulation and disposal and warns that attempts to obstruct the work of its officers could result in prosecution. Dozens of protesters continue their watch.
Today you test our faith like you've never tested our faith before.
Praying for a change of heart. The farm was supported by members of the Trump administration, including Secretary of Health Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Chief of Medicare Dr. Mehmet Oz. An American billionaire also contributed $50,000 to the farm's legal fight and is asking Prime Minister Mark Carney to intervene.
I am asking for sympathy and I'm asking for common sense to prevail.
This culling of poultry or stamping out policy that the CFIA is carrying out is an international standard that numerous nations have signed on to, including the U.S. The aim is to contain outbreaks. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Pressure is mounting on Saskatchewan's government to launch a public inquiry into a fire that destroyed more than 200 homes just across the border from Manitoba. A volunteer firefighter this week joined the provincial NDP in the demand for answers. They're asking why firefighters were not given more resources to fight June's Denair Beach fire. Saskatchewan's public safety minister has resisted calls for an inquiry. He says the province's public safety agency is in the process of holding an independent review of the 2025 wildfire season. Denair Beach is only about 20 kilometers southwest of Flin Flon. The Supreme Court will hear a challenge to Saskatchewan's law on the use of pronouns in schools. The law prevents children under the age of 16 from changing their pronouns or names at school without the consent of their parents. The government used the notwithstanding clause to get the law passed. An LGBTQ rights group in Saskatchewan is arguing the law causes irreparable harm to gender-diverse youth. The most powerful tropical storm to hit Asia this year has slammed into Vietnam with winds of 150 kilometers an hour. Waves up to 3 meters high battered the coastal city of Da Nang, while strong winds have uprooted trees and torn the roofs off buildings. Power has also been knocked out for thousands. Several airports have closed and more than 500,000 people were forced to evacuate over fears of flooding and landslides. Earlier this week, a typhoon caused widespread destruction in the Philippines, killing at least 114 people. In Washington, Donald Trump says his administration will have to come up with a plan B if the Supreme Court rules against tariffs imposed on Canada and other countries.
We thought we did very well yesterday. We hope that we did. I think it would be devastating for our country, but I also think that we'll have to develop a Game 2 plan. We'll see what happens.
If the court rejects the tariffs, the U.S. president has plenty of other options. He can reuse tariff powers deployed in his first term, or he could cite a section of the Trade Act which allows the United States to counter what it sees as unfair trade practices. Earlier this year, 2 lower courts and a federal appeals court ruled the emergency law Trump invoked does not give him unlimited power to set tariffs. A new poll suggests most Americans have a positive view of Canada when it comes to economic and trade matters. The polls found 75% of Americans trust Canada to negotiate in good faith, but it also found less than a quarter of Americans see Canada as a close ally in the economic and trade relationship.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
Spotify faces a lawsuit alleging Drake has benefited from billions of fraudulent Spotify streams. That story up next.
And I know when.
It's going to cool down for a couple of days, including on Saturday to start off the long-range forecast for Winnipeg, a high of just -4 under a mix of sun and cloud. -1 by Sunday, similar sky conditions. Back up above freezing on Monday as we cloud over, and then we shoot all the way up to 6 degrees on Tuesday, a mix of sun and cloud. A mix of sun and cloud again on Wednesday with a high near 3.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply. According to a new investigative report from Reuters, 10% of Meta's overall sales last year come from ads for scams and banned goods. Reuters cited Meta's own internal documents in its report and found the company's platforms show an estimated 15 billion high-risk scams. Advertisements to its users every day. A 2024 document showed Meta makes about $7 billion in annualized revenue from those scam ads each year. A Meta spokesperson says the company aggressively addresses scam ads, and the projections were a rough and overly inclusive estimate. Canadian hip-hop star Drake is mentioned in a major class action lawsuit involving the streaming platform Spotify. It's alleged millions of streams were artificially boosted, and Drake and other artists benefited from an inflated payout.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
For Canadian rap royalty Drake, Spotify has been his own hotline to bling, cashing in an estimated $350 million off the streaming service.
And I know when that hotline bling.
Though the scathing lawsuit alleges that Drake has profited off of a fraudulent streaming scheme, the lawsuit is against Spotify. Drake is not being sued, though his name appears in the suit 32 times. The allegations against him paint a roadmap of alleged fraud. Filed in a California district court, the suit states that Spotify knows, or should know, that music streams for a particular song have been artificially and fraudulently inflated through the use of bots.
If we don't have strict rules and laws around streaming of music, we're going to see a lot of fabricated numbers.
A Spotify spokesperson says the company in no way benefits from the industry-wide challenge of artificial streaming, going on to say they use best-in-class systems to combat it and safeguard artist payouts.
It would benefit them a lot to exaggerate the amount of people that are using the streaming service.
You hating on numbers untouchable, they got the data wrong.
The lawsuit claims that over a 4-day period in 2024, at least 250,000 streams of Drake's song No Face originated in Turkey, but were falsely geomapped through the coordinated use of VPNs in the United Kingdom. In September, Drake became the first artist to reach 120 billion streams on Spotify. The platform pays out royalties through a stream share model where a pool of money is divided based on each artist's total streams.
It's the smaller artists that are being affected the most.
Requests for comment from Drake's representatives have so far gone unanswered. The lawsuit notes that while Drake is being used as an example, there are others. He doesn't stand alone. Adrian Gober, CTV News, Toronto.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
All right, she tried to distract us with those northern lights last time, and it worked until I took a look at the live eye. So
I know.
I guess lay it on us, Colleen. How much snow are we in for?
Well, it depends on where you are, but I do have to mention, speaking of those northern lights, I realized I didn't tell you where they were. This was near Ashern. That video was taken last night by Scott Cameron. So thanks to him for sending it in. Actually, it was Dad who sent it in to us. So thank you to the both of you. It's been beautiful to watch. Not so beautiful to watch this right now, but here we are. So let me show you how things are shaping up right now. All manner of precipitation falling by the looks of it at this point. The issue is there's a slumping cold front and the temperatures are starting to drop, and so we're starting to see these precipitation types start to vary. In northwestern Ontario, the snow is coming down in Kenora, and for all these areas to the east, Dryden in the mix as well. In areas further north, areas further south, there's some rain there, a little freezing rain just to the south of Kenora. Back to Manitoba, and I want to show you Winnipeg and the surrounding areas. The precipitation sure took its time to get here, didn't it, today? Well, it got here at around 4 in the form of rain, but now that the temperatures dropped off to around 0, it's flipped over to snow here in Winnipeg, and as that cold front continues to slump southward, look for more of that rain south of the city to flip over to snow as well. But I also want to point out Dauphin as well. It's been snowing there, but right now there is light freezing rain, as you can see here on the satellite radar. Meanwhile, northern Manitoba, this is missing you entirely. Some high pressure there, keeping this system at bay. Meanwhile, we'll get that snow coming along. So that corridor really that takes you through Western Canada into the Parkland region in Manitoba here, we will see the most in those areas. Dauphin, Minnedosa, you could see 5-10 centimeters tonight, a little less on either side, north to Swan River, south to Brandon there, although in Brandon it's cloudy at the moment. But as we get into the overnight hours, you can see that slumping effect, that snow pushing further and further toward the international border. So areas closer to the border may still have a few flurries flying tomorrow morning, but in Winnipeg it should be done. Meanwhile, you see we get the sunshine back as we get into Friday for many areas, but we'll also get some pretty cooler temperatures as well, staying well below freezing across the south, courtesy of the north winds that will whip up in behind this clipper as it leaves. Meanwhile, another system will be winding up in Alberta tomorrow and making its way east. It looks like it's just the southwest corner of the province that could get clipped by this snow. It will dive down into North Dakota, but look for lake effect snow also coming off the lakes into those areas immediately south of Lake Winnipeg and Lake Manitoba. So for tonight, we drop down to -4, rain and snow, but likely now that we're already at freezing, this will likely stay as snow. Mix of sun and cloud by morning, the temperature holding steady at -4. We only go to -3 in the afternoon with more sunshine. Few flurries in Churchill tonight, down to -3 there. The temperature will actually rise to -3, pardon me. In Thompson tomorrow, cloudy, -7. In the northwest tonight, a few clouds over Lynn Lake and Flin Flon, -15 and -14 respectively. A few more clouds for the rest of the region, so not quite as cool, those overnight lows. You could see a few flurries tomorrow in Norway House, otherwise some sun on the way to -6. Snow tonight in the southwest, a couple centimeters for Brandon and Swan River, but more, as I mentioned, through that corridor that takes in Dauphin and Minnedosa. Could see a little bit more in the way of flurries tomorrow morning around Brandon, otherwise a mix of sun and cloud. And then here in Winnipeg and the surrounding regions, we're seeing some snow now. Temperatures dipping below freezing and staying there tomorrow under a mix of sun and cloud. And in northwestern Ontario, we're seeing both rain and snow. And then tomorrow, there's a chance of a little bit more, but otherwise a mix of sun and cloud through Kenora and Dryden with highs around -4. But the snow sure does make for some pretty pictures, doesn't it? This is how it looked out earlier today out at Wasagaming. That photo is from Scott. And this photo is from Hans of the Northern Lights. Stunning. Now, this was last evening. This is out near Rosenthal Nature Park. That's near Mitchell and Steinbach. Send us your pics to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, it all comes down to this. A handful of high school football champions will be made tonight. CTV's Taylor Brock joins us now live from Princess Auto Stadium. And Taylor, I understand one of those games just came to an end. And look at the snow on the field behind you. Yikes.
I should not have done my hair, Marilee. Oh, if you are coming down tonight for the Anna Vets Bowl, maybe wear a toque, a raincoat, and a parka. This weather has been very interesting, and it's going to be interesting seeing how it's going to actually play out on the field for the second of a double whammy game. We are about half an hour away from the Anna Vets, which is the Quad A championship here for Winnipeg High School football. On the field right behind me are the Dakota Lancers. They're warming up for that match. The Oak Park Raiders are the other team heading down to the field, which is what the thing is underneath the snow right now. We are seeing them warm up. We did actually, as you mentioned, just wrap up the AAA Curry Bowl. That one actually quite the game. When I was walking in, it was so loud in here, full of local support. We had St. Norbert's team and Dryden's team going head-to-head. That was, I'm going to spoil the score here for you folks. St. Norbert Celtics won this one 10-0. They shut out Dryden. This was actually their first championship, and when I spoke with the head coach, he talked about how sweet it felt, not just to win, not just show these players really what they're capable of, but also the community around them. And we are expecting to see that again tonight here at the Anna Vets. We're just watching actually Oak Park walk onto the field. Hopefully no one slips. It's quite snowy out there. We are seeing fans start to trickle in. Hopefully this weather won't deter them. Coming up tonight at 11:30, we'll share more about what happened on this game that's about to kick off right away, Marilee.
Wow, what a difference from the start of the game with the green field to what it looks like now. Well, good luck to all of the players. Yeah. Taylor, I hope you can dry off and warm up. Get back to the studio, maybe.
Somehow wet and frozen.
Yikes. I'll have a talk with Colleen about this for you. Don't worry. Thanks, Taylor. Well, did you know that your brain glows? This is what we're told. We're going to explain why researchers say that little light could help make cancer detection easier. It's all coming up in Medical Watch. The Quebec Retail Council is raising concerns about how many Quebecers are turning to foreign websites to shop, and they're calling on the federal government to step in. Jack Richardson explains.
34% of Quebec consumers made a purchase on Temu in the last 6 months, according to statistics from the Quebec Retail Council. That's up from 21% in January. Shein's numbers also rose by 9% in the same time period. The sites are based in Asia and offer a wide range of products at very low cost, a growing concern for Canadian businesses.
It's not possible for the retailers to be able to compete with such unfair competition. It's a very, very serious problem right now, because if we are not going to act quickly, I can assure you that we are going to see a lot of bankruptcy of retailers in Quebec and in Canada.
The province's retail council is calling on the federal government to put more regulations on Shein and Temu.
It's just the ascendancy, the rapid ascendancy of Temu and Shein that's, I think, catching everybody's attention right now.
The companies ship items one at a time. According to experts, that's a loophole, which allows them to have significantly lower prices.
The fact that the products come in one envelope at a time often is sort of circumvent a lot of the processes that the local brands and businesses need to adhere to.
Online shopping is much more convenient for consumers. Then you mix that with the fact that Shein and Temu offer such discounted prices. It's easy to see why Quebecers are starting to use those sites much more often. Even shoppers at a mall say buying stuff online is their preference, especially if it's cheaper.
You can just click and then have your thing sent to you the next day, as opposed to waiting in traffic and going to the store.
The Quebec Retail Council flagged the stats to bring attention to the growing appetite for these websites.
It's not possible to compete when you have a product who's going to cost 5-10 times less that we can find right now with the retailers in Quebec and in Canada.
Jack Richardson, CTV News.
Did you know your brain has a glow? Wilfrid Laurier University researchers have built a helmet that measures our brain's billions of cells, which give off light. And as CTV's Spencer Turcott tells us, they can use those light emissions to detect and diagnose cancer in its earliest stages.
We put gel into each of these 19 electrodes.
It looks like a mad science experiment.
So it just sits snugly on top.
And it kind of is, but this mad science has the potential to save lives.
The general gap that we have in cancer detection is that we're completely reliant on biomolecules, genes, and physical constructs.
Wilfrid Laurier Assistant Professor Narosha Murugan is the brains behind the quest to find another way to detect the disease. Her team of researchers landed on the light that our cells emit.
If we're trying to look for a way to non-invasively detect brain cancer with one of the most common aggressive forms is glioblastoma, we kind of need to tease apart the signals.
So using ultra-sensitive detectors to pick up individual photons, sensors in this helmet record the electrical and photonic landscape of our brains.
Our goal is to detect cancer in the earliest form.
It's really consistent, a few spikes.
The trouble with current cancer detection technology is that it requires an accumulation of cancer tissue captured by imaging or biomarkers that may be hard to access or is too far along once found.
What we mean by early is that when that single cell starts to make a decision to go from its healthy state to something that's what we consider not normal.
catching it at the single cell level could lead to earlier diagnoses and lower risk of mortality. Now, Murugan is working with a medical oncologist to track patients undergoing chemotherapy to see if they can identify cognitive impairments following treatment. If successful, the magnetic fields may also have the ability to halt progression of psychiatric illnesses.
I think our technology has the potential to be on the preventative side.
A no-brainer in her eyes when it comes to pushing cancer research and overall wellness ahead. Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Waterloo.
Between videos showing car crashes and acts of violence to social media posts on wars and politics, constantly reading or seeing troubling things online can take a toll on mental health, but it can be hard to put your device down.
Oftentimes people complain about losing long periods of time scrolling through their phone because it becomes addictive.
That's psychologist Adam Borland with Cleveland Clinic, who says too much exposure can fuel stress and lead to increased anxiety, low mood, sleep disturbances, irritability, and can even create problems at home or work.
It's important for people to remember that they have a choice in all of this. They have a choice as to how much upsetting content they're accessing. And when they have that choice, that comes with a sense of control.
To stop yourself from so-called doom scrolling, Borland says to start with mindfulness, focus on the present moment, establish healthy boundaries on when and when not to use devices, monitor which sites you follow and how they affect your mood, stress, and anxiety levels. And he says it may be time to unfollow some of those accounts.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
The Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra is hitting the road. Those details next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Absolute Britney, a tribute to Britney Spears.
Get ready to hear the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra in a new venue. The WSO is coming to South Winnipeg. The orchestra will have its first ever solo performance in the Des Hotels Concert Hall at the University of Manitoba. Performances will include Beethoven's Symphony No. 1 and a composition based on Spanish folk melodies.
And it's a wonderful opportunity to bring the orchestra to a different part of the town with a very diverse and very exciting program.
The WSO performs in the new venue this Friday and Saturday starting at 7:30 p.m. Get tickets through the WSO's website. A musical about one of the greatest entertainers of all time is set to moonwalk into Centennial Concert Hall. It's called MJ the Musical and features Michael Jackson's unique and unparalleled artistry. And we got a sneak peek behind the curtain.
Of course. Need I say anything? The iconic Thriller jacket.
Today, we got to speak to the cast and look at the dazzling costumes featured in the musical, which centers around the making of the 1992 Dangerous World Tour. Jordan Marcus plays MJ. He says the shows offer a rare look at the creative mind and collaborative spirit that made Michael Jackson a legend.
More of a man behind the music that they all know and love, you know? I mean, I think this show does a great job of balancing the prolific superstar that we all, you know, of course, know and love, but gives us sort of a humanization of this figure that is otherwise untouchable for a lot of us.
MJ the Musical is running now until November 9th. Tickets are on sale online at centennialconcerthall.com. A Manitoba author has received a national award. Kyle Edwards won the prestigious Governor General's Literary Award today.
But I think more generally, it's a coming-of-age story.
The Anishinaabe writer's novel, called Small Ceremonies, won in the fiction category. It follows the hopes and struggles of a high school hockey team from Winnipeg's North End. Edwards' novel is among 14 books that won this year. The win comes with a $25,000 cash prize. Your primetime lineup heats up with Hell's Kitchen at 7, 911 Nashville is on at 8, at 9 it's Grey's Anatomy, and catch Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage at 10. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Look up, way up. The Northern Lights are set to light up the skies tonight. The best places to see them when we return.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Yeah, that's snow out there, folks. Well, we don't have to look at that for long. It's snowing. It's 0, and that snow is going to keep on coming down for a few hours. A very quick look at our almanac will show you the highest temperature today was 5. The lowest was -4 this morning. The normal high for this time of year is 2. We'll come nowhere near that tomorrow. -3, -4 first our overnight low. Well, that rain is pretty much flipped over to snow now. Sunshine returns Friday, so do strong winds. We stay below freezing on Saturday, -4, -1 on Sunday.
Thanks, Colleen. The Northern Lights might be seen across most of Canada tonight. The lights should again be most visible in Western Canada, Northern Ontario, Quebec, and the Territories, but they might even be visible in parts of Southern Canada as well. Experts say the best way for Canadians to see the lights is to get out of the city. I feel like we have a theme tonight of deflecting from the snow and just look at the pretty lights.
That's right. But if you are going to drive out of the city to see them, well, I mean, it's snowing out there, as we must mention, so the roads may be a little
be careful
tough.
for sure. And I got to talk to you about Taylor's outing.
Needs a hair dryer.
She needs a hair
She's
dryer.
texted me.